Welcome. I'd like to call today's Sports Authority Board of Directors meeting to order. We want to thank our friends at Cumberland River Compact for hosting us today. We are really excited to be here at the Bridge Building. We work really closely with the tenants of this building, and we appreciate them having us today. The appeals process for any action of this board can be found at the top of today's agenda. And if the board would please note, we're going to swap around a couple of agenda items. We're going to take up the Grand Prix item as the 5th action item, and then here the Downtown Partnership as the 8th action item. And I think it's reflected on the most recent printout that should be before you today. We have the meeting minutes from our May 18th meeting in our packets. They were sent out on Friday. Is there a motion to approve our May 18th meeting minutes?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? All in favor for approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The minutes are approved. So much has happened since our last meeting, and I know we are all very, very proud, to say the least, of our very own Nashville Predators. And I noticed today this in the Tennessean, and I have to say, I think this visual really says a lot. And so, yeah. So thank you to the Preds organization. It's been fantastic. And I guess Monica will give us an update from the ED report. Monica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We have a house full. Thank you for being here with us today. I also would like to thank the Cumberland River Compact. I'm not sure if Mikhail and Eleanor are here. They were in here earlier, but they are fantastic partners. The mission of the Cumberland River Compact is to enhance the health and the enjoyment of the Cumberland River and its tributaries through education, collaboration, and action. And so we are excited to be here. I think this is one of the best views in the city, and they've been very generous and welcoming with their space. You have the agenda before you. As our chair noted earlier, we have made one change to the agenda since it was sent out to you on Friday. Following my report, we'll call for facility questions as we do every month, and then we will have a presentation from the Grand Prix of Nashville and consideration of their proposed memorandum of understanding. The authority will then consider a contract extension with Sirius XM Radio, Inc., located in the tower of Bridgestone Arena. They have been good partners of ours for many years as well. And then we're also going to receive a report from the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, another one of our tenants. And we thought this was a good time just to hear from some tenants that we often don't hear from, and we want to make sure that as an authority you know what's going on with all of our tenants and their day-to-day operations. We also are going to ask you to consider an amended and restated agreement between the Sports Authority and the Nashville Downtown Partnership, and Russell Payne is here with us this morning. Are there any questions about the agenda? Great. Well, I want to take a minute just to give you a brief update on our from our project managers on the work that we've been doing over at the stadium. Jordan Wyman is here, and Roxanne Bethune is here from Commonwealth Development Group. As we reported last month, the project team is in the process of closing out Phase 2. You'll remember that Phase 2 consisted of the replacement of 13 expansion joints on the East Club level. There's some waterproofing that was done, and also an extension of several guardrails. I do want to say, and I think this is really important to note, that the DBE participation at the completion of Phase 2 is at 30%. And there have been a dozen DBE firms that have received over $4 million through this project. And so I want to definitely thank Roxanne Bethune, who's behind Dudley, for the tremendous work that she has done, and just for the whole team at the stadium. Also, we told you last month that as work was coming to a close on Phase 2, we we found that there was an internal gutter failure that had caused some water damage, and so we were working on estimates. We're calling that phase 3. So this has really been, this has been a project. So work has started on phase 3. The good news is that there's still funds left from the project to completely cover the work that needs to be done. And so we'll keep you apprised as we dig into that. Larry Adama could not be with us today, but as you know, he has a wonderful team, and they've been fantastic as we've worked through all of this. Are there any questions?
Is
Yes.
the inspection completed, or is there anything that they are still working on besides the gutter?
For phase 3, I think the phase 3 is just the gutter, and they've started that. They're, you know, we're all trying to get ready for football season, but I think the timing is good, and the budget is still going very well as planned, so we're in good shape.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Monica. We appreciate that update. Next up on our agenda, we have our facility questions. As usual, our facility reports were sent out, I believe, on Friday. You should have had a chance to review. And at this time, we will entertain any questions for, in general or specific about those reports for the Preds, Sounds, or Titans.
I just have one. For Bridgestone, would it be possible on the dates of the events, or when y'all are listing out your events, to put what the dates are for those events? I think the Titans did. It's really helpful for me, or for I think everybody, just to sort of see what's when and what. Thanks.
Any other facility questions? No? At this time, we will hear our Grand Prix of Nashville presentation. I know we have several guests here today prepared to speak with us, and I believe Joe Mattioli will present their vision for the Grand Prix of Nashville. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Madam Chairman.
Joe, let me stop you, because before you get started, and I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank Matt and the rest of your team, and they have brought, I think they brought a lot of their team with them, and so we really appreciate you being here. I'd like to start with the end in mind, and I want to make sure the authority understands the request that's before them, and then we can go into the presentation. But after the presentation, the board is going to be asked to consider entering into a memorandum of understanding. This MOU is a three-way agreement between the Sports Authority, Cumberland Stadium, Inc., and GP&TN. And so basically the MOU kind of outlines the duties of the involved parties as it relates to the negotiation of a master agreement and event planning, and demonstrating the capacity to secure funding. And so, you know, it doesn't bind anyone to anything at this time, but it does set expectations, and I think provide some protection for the company as you seek to plan and you know, can do that, I think, with some confidence that there are not other things going on that shouldn't be. So this is, you know, we've had conversations. I would say it's been 12, 18 months, maybe longer. The mayor's office has been heavily involved and has led a lot of those. The Titans, of course, have been intricately involved in this. And so now we're at a point where we can present this to you all and give you an opportunity to ask some questions. I want to thank Claudia for being here from the mayor's office. And so, that being said, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Madam Chairman, members of the board, we're so excited to be here. Before we get started, I would like to just introduce some of the folks that are here with our group. From our management team, we have Matt Cruz, who's a Nashvilleian who bleeds Nashville red. I couldn't get him away from the Predators game to work, but that being said, we love him. Mike Gillespie. Mike is
Can we
the...
get everyone to raise their hand, too? It's sort of hard to see. Yes, or stand. That'd be great, yes.
Mike Gillespie is the king of car clubs, and he's been very instrumental in helping us reach out to the incredible car club community. We've named him our chief steward of our Founders Club, which will be a membership club if we move forward. Charles Robert Bone was going to be here. Charles had a client emergency, but he is an attorney and has been working with the city in crafting the MOU. Board members are here. Rod Essex was here, but CAA Los Angeles demanded he get on a call. We do have Andy Moats, who's the executive vice president of Pinnacle Bank with our entertainment and film division. One of our key advisors that's here is Jay Abraham. Jay? Jay has an incredible history. He ran Food Lions motorsports program. Then he became the COO of NASCAR Properties. During that time, they won 4 Emmy Awards, and they were nominated for 14 others. We're working with Marianne Howland. I haven't seen Marianne, but Marianne is going to help us develop a diversity initiative so that we reach out to the community and we follow the mandates of Mayor Barry. Jeremy Holly is here from our agency. Jeremy's done an outstanding job. We're trying to surround ourselves with young people. I'm an older guy, and we need young ideas, and Jeremy is a source of that. Joey Newgarden. Joey is a businessman in Nashville, and Joey has the distinction of being the father of Joseph Newgarden, the IndyCar champion. Supporters here, and I have not met him, but we've talked. Kix Brooks, thank you so much. Chaz Corzine. Chaz is a leader in the Christian music program. We have the Nashville Sports Council, represented by their president, Scott Ramsey and Jay. Jonathan Rich with Hankook Tires. Hankook is looking at how they might get involved. Ralph Schultz, I don't know if you're here. He was coming. President of the Chamber. And finally, Trace Whitman. Trace is the advisor to Senator Bo Watson. With that said, I'm going to turn the program over to Matt Cruz, and Matt will give our presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. As Joe mentioned, my name is Matt Cruz. I'm the Executive Vice President of the Grand Prix of Nashville. I'm a lifelong Nashville resident, and it's amazing to see what the city has become in our lifetime. And you guys, a lot of people in this room have a lot of credit for what's happened. I also want to thank the Sports Authority for allowing us the opportunity to be here today. I also want to congratulate everybody in this room that was involved in last week in CMA and Stanley Cup events. And again, as a proud Nashville, when we show what Nashville is to the world, it makes us all stand a little taller and smile a little wider. Our goal of the Grand Prix of Nashville is to build on past successes like this past weekend and create a multi-day international motorsports, music, and lifestyle festival on one of the world's greatest entertainment venues and cities. We've got a couple of quick videos that we can kind of run through our strategic vision of the Grand Prix of Nashville. Excuse us one second. We may try to play it off of a different computer.
Launching in the spring of 2019, the Grand Prix of Nashville will combine many of the world's greatest racing drivers, music's top performers, and celebrities from the world of sports and entertainment into an annual international festival of speed and sound, staged on a temporary Grand Prix circuit around Nashville's League Sound Stadium. With 200-mile-per-hour racing as the backdrop, the Grand Prix of Nashville will host one of the largest and most exciting street parties Nashville has ever seen. With an eye towards international tourism growth and coinciding with the expansion of the Nashville International Airport, the Grand Prix of Nashville will be a true international event, attracting competitors and fans from around the world. The Grand Prix's worldwide television broadcast also serves as a glimpse into what Nashville has to offer to a global audience.
So the next video is a highlight video from the Long Beach Grand Prix. The Long Beach Grand Prix has somewhat served as a template for what we envisioned for Nashville. This past year, Long Beach, they think they celebrated their 43rd consecutive race. The original race was in 1975. That's the vision of Nashville. So we'll show you the highlights of Long Beach and then show you kind of our vision of what Nashville can take, what Long Beach has done, and take it to the next level. Now let's take a preview of what Grand Prix Nashville 2019 will look like in our first week of activity in April of 2019.
To welcome Major League Racing in Nashville, we'll host a one-of-a-kind parade, street festival, and other festivities. The Country Music Hall of Fame will host Thursday's Media Day, giving local and international media access to the teams, drivers, and celebrities that will participate in the inaugural event. Thursday will also serve as a day of service as we work with participating teams, drivers, and sponsors in support of Grand Prix charity partners Ronald McDonald House and Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt. The Grand Prix will be offering an earned ticket program where fans can earn race tickets by performing service hours for our charity partners or by providing meals for families staying at the Nashville Ronald McDonald House. The day will be concluded with the Black Tie and Boots Driver Gala. Freedom Friday will honor the service, sacrifice, and spirit of our military members and first responders. Tickets to the day's driver, practice, and qualifying, including our Rock and Roll Festival of Music, celebrating the Nashville music scene, and concluding with fireworks on the riverfront. Saturday's pro celebrity race will combine legends from the world of racing with many of Nashville's top celebrities racing around the Grand Prix of Nashville's circuit. For 20 years, the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race at the Long Beach Grand Prix was one of racing's most popular events, raising millions of dollars for children's charities. Sunday Race Day will kick off as only Nashville can, with a sunrise concert featuring some of Nashville's top contemporary Christian artists with a special sunrise concert on the banks of the Cumberland River.
Let me give you a little bit of background about the management team for the Grand Prix of Nashville. Joe Mattiola, who you met earlier. Joe has over 40 years of motorsports experience, including track ownership, event management, and promotion. Joe also served as president and CEO of Pocono Raceway for 24 years. Pocono is one of America's premier motorsports facilities and hosts multiple IndyCar and NASCAR events on an annual basis. Tony Kottman, who can't be here with us today, Tony has over 25 years of motorsports experience. He's the former vice president of competition for IndyCar. He's also the former vice president of operations for Champ Car. Tony is a world-renowned track designer. He's spent an extensive amount of time here in Nashville designing a layout that not only looks at driver competition, but the overall fan experience. Mike Gillespie, who you met earlier, as Joe said, Mike will serve as the chief steward of our Founders Club. Mike is a member of over 25 car clubs, both internationally and domestically. Mike will be our liaison to these clubs and build some of the programs as we reach out to these organizations. I'm Matt Cruz. I have 20 years of experience in sports and entertainment. I'm the previous president of Baker Curb Racing here in Nashville. I've been involved in NASCAR and event production over the last 5 years, producing a lot of their pre- and post-race concerts. I'm also the co-founder of the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital Rally for Kids with Cancer. A little bit of oversight on the potential event. In this type of racing, there's two main sanctioning bodies here in the United States of America, IndyCar and IMSA. We've yet to choose a sanctioning body that we will partner with, but we're keeping our options open and having ongoing discussions. Both sanctioning bodies have strong interest in being in Nashville, but we're being very diligent about making that decision. So just to give you a little oversight, IndyCar, you may be familiar with the Indy 500. That is the sanctioning body with that. Joseph Newgarden, Joey Newgarden is here today. His son Joseph is one of the sport's brightest stars and drives for the team, the sport's top team in the IndyCar series. IMSA, you may be more familiar with events such as the 24 Hours of Daytona. Let me go back to IndyCar real quick. Obviously, Bridgestone Firestone is a major partner in IndyCar, and it is one of their pillar manufacturers and sponsors. IMSA, as I said, you may be more familiar with events such as the 24 Hours of Daytona, the 24 Hours of Sebring. That would be the IMSA car series. IMSA is owned by NASCAR. Nissan, local company, is also a competitor in the IMSA series, along with 14 other auto manufacturers. Why Nashville? Well, you know, I've been reminded, several times over the last few weeks. I think Mayor Berry has said it on multiple occasions. Nashville throws a great party, and that's true. And like this recent Stanley Cup run has shown us, and like the All-Star game last year, Nashville delivers every time it is given a shot on the big stage. 50% of the U.S. population live within 650 miles of here. Nashville has unbelievable experience in producing large events. So bringing a true international event to this environment sets Nashville up to be sets the Grand Prix up to be one of Nashville's biggest events, but also sets the Grand Prix to be one of the marquee events on the global motorsports calendar. Track design, next one. So Tony Kottman, who unfortunately can't be here today, was responsible for the track design. As you can see, with the exception of using Interstate Drive, the track is contained on the Nissan footprint. Tony has worked extensively with Bob Flynn and his team to design a layout that again looks to have a world-class facility, but also the track has been built to take into considerations timelines, interference with the day-to-day business of the facility, and hopefully minimizing any interruptions as far as state worker parking and other issues like that. So again, thanks again for your time. I'll be passing out a version of today's presentation. I'll also have another packet that has about a dozen letters of interest or letters of support. And as you'll see, of the dozen, we'll have letters from Colin Reed with Ryman Properties, Scott Borchetta with Big Machine Records, Aaron Morrison with Monroe Carroll Children's Hospital, just to name a few. So again, we have time for some questions. If Joe wants to join me again, but I'll pass these out and then we can grab a few questions.
Thank you, Matt. Joe, can you tell us a little bit about the experience this group has had in the past with working on other such events, or just kind of give us a little background as well?
As Matt told you, I had over 20 years at Pocono. Pocono are NASCAR events. In its heyday, we were doing about 140,000 people. So doing mass population events is something I've done all my life. Also had the opportunity of producing the event management for the DC Grand Prix. We built a course around the RFK Stadium in Washington and built out 60,000 seats in downtown DC. I have experience working here in Nashville. I had the great opportunity of promoting the legendary fairgrounds, which warm spot in my heart. And you may remember an event we did called Dukes Fest. We had the original cast and crew of the Dukes of Hazzard TV show come to town, and we had people from every state, 13 foreign countries, and 70,000 people showed up. I've done TV specials, helping the NHRA get on ESPN, but events is what I do. You know, Matt has vast experience in events as well. Members of our team, particularly Jay Abraham, with his broadcast capabilities from NASCAR Properties, we're very proud to have him as part. And then having Tony Common. Tony not only will design the track, but he'll coordinate the construction, the execution, the operation with years and years and years of experience. So the depth of our experience is certainly there. We're looking to work with Scott Ramsey, and they certainly know how to promote events in Nashville. We've had a great relationship with Ralph Schultz, with the Chamber, and seeing how we can partner there.
I believe Ralph just walked in as well.
There he is. So hopefully the depth of our experience certainly is not lacking. And you know, my dad told me always hire people smarter than you and they make you look good. So that's my plan.
Yes.
Joe, about process, timing, and things, I think it's a fabulous idea. It'd be a great thing to have here in Nashville. But what happens next? You get the sponsoring entity, and then they decide.
No, what happens next is the MOU has been indicated, create certain benchmarks to show our financial wherewithal. The goal being once we identify those benchmarks and reach them, then we would sit down and negotiate a long-term license so that we have 5 years and hopefully longer to produce the event. You know, I'd love to be able to do 43 years like Long Beach, you know, and I don't know if I'm gonna live that long, but it'd be great to do that. Once we have the MOU, we're then in a position where we have something serious to go sit down with the sanctioning bodies and really see what's the best fit. Both have indicated their excitement about the market. And really, I think it's a toss-up right now. So the sanctioning body negotiation would start identifying dates that work for the sanctioning body and work for the Titans and everything else going on in the city. It's a very competitive market, and we want to complement and not compete. We want to look for times when hotel rooms are empty, or they're never empty in Nashville, you know, but less empty. And hopefully targeting 19, we understand there's thousands of rooms coming online, so we're excited about that. But I think the big part is the international component. The idea of creating an Epcot kind of village where we invite Great Britain, Spain, and France to come here and showcase. You know, I understand that the CVB recently sponsored taxi cabs in London. The cast and crew of the TV show Nashville is touring in Great Britain. So there's a tremendous international interest in Nashville, and can we be the catalyst to expand upon that and bring jumbo jets here from all around the world?
Well, and the field of a sports car race like this is primarily made up of foreign drivers. So, you know, we hope to build, you know, specific marketing packages in different countries around their drivers to put together packages to come to Nashville. All of this is neatly, you know, coincides with the expansion of the international airport as well. So that's part of the vision as well. And we truly, you know, international expansion is obviously, you know, the next step for Nashville. And, you know, and these events on a worldwide scale are the premier events.
I have something I wanted to ask about. Have you ever thought about inviting the Titans into the setting so we can get their feelings or feelings about this?
Yeah, so we've been working with Bob Flynn with the Titans for over a year now on you know, course layout, use of facilities, how we can maximize the stadium. And we look at that to try to mitigate our cost as far as, you know, building out a temporary course. This track design allows us to use a lot of the Titans facilities, and, you know, from the club levels to some of the concessions to restroom facilities, and even the ramps as premium viewing opportunities for the race. So they've been a great partners to work with up to this point.
I would say, I think it might be helpful, Bob, if you would mind to come up and just kind of speak. I think the board would appreciate hearing directly from you all as well.
Hello, everybody. question you want answered, or yeah. So I've been dealing with Joe and Matt for the past year about it. Just always an understanding of, originally it started off looking at downtown and all that stuff, and then it's been scaled back to on the Titans or Nissan Stadium property. And my biggest concern is, or not, I shouldn't say concern, is that whatever we do, everything's put back to where it is. But what they've done in the past and what we're trying to enter in right now, it's something I think we should look to. But I don't think it's binding, as you said earlier. But it's an opportunity to keep looking at this. But they originally wanted to go across the river and all that stuff, and it just wasn't going to work for downtown. And so that's why it's scaled back down to the stadium property.
Yes, Margaret?
Thank you so much for your presentation today. This is the first that we as a board have heard about this, so I think it's going to generate some questions. So my first question is, this festival is for how many days now that you're looking to have here in Nashville?
Well, so kickoff would start on Wednesday evening as the teams arrive into town. Our vision would be to have some type of driver festival type event, or as the teams and haulers arrive into town, possibly a parade down Broadway. Thursday would be our media day and some of our other charitable initiatives throughout the day. But the teams, the drivers would be in market at that point in time. Our first day on track would be Friday of race week, which starts practice and qualifying and some of the other efforts. And then Saturday would be our celebrity race, and then Sunday our premium race. So really on-track activities 3 days, but we look at it as a 4 to 5 day event. And again, we look at it as a festival, and that's why we're not overly hung up on the sanctioning body at this point in time, because Nashville is the focal point. The cars are the background noise to a great festival, but Nashville is the focal point of the event.
So besides, go ahead.
I think something else is that we're looking to see how we can be good neighbors year-round. Part of that, when I was here with the fairgrounds, we started a thing called the Music City Motorsports Institute, and we would take these little electric race cars that children 4 to 7 could drive, and we would do read-to-race programs in inner city schools. Librarians were ready to string me up. We'd get the principal, we put them in a driver's uniform, and the children would actually race on the school gym. So we want to do outreaches to the community, see where we're needed, see where we can add value. One of my key pet peeves that has nothing to do with the Grand Prix, but has to do with driver safety. Our children are dying. They don't know how to drive. They get on wet or snowy conditions. The first indication is you hit the brakes, you lose control, you hit a tree, and you die. So how can we reach out to the community and promote driver safety? One of my board members is John Hope Bryant. John has an entity called Operation Hope, and really reaching out and developing a strong diversity program relative to the event, but also to inclusion, as we're looking for vendors and purveyors. We want every day to be race day in Nashville. We want to use the circuit we align with. For example, IndyCar has, I think it's 20 events. Can we bring a Nashville presence to every one of those events and promote the town, promote the state, and use it really as a marketing platform year-round, both domestically and internationally?
So I'm wondering, what are you helped me already answer the question about why an MOU at this point. Why is that needed, particularly something that's non-binding? But my question to you, as part of these commercially reasonable and good efforts to negotiate that Metro is saying they'll give, what are you expecting Metro to pay for your festival instead of, in addition to allowing you to use the land, what are you expecting out of Metro to pay for this event?
Your goodwill.
I don't know. It's right at my mouth.
I don't think anybody's. I don't know if it's on.
Well, I'm sorry. Then I'll speak up because I thought it was on. Is there one? What my question is, I can speak up. You're asking for us to sign an MOU in which Metro says that it will use commercially and reasonable efforts to negotiate with your company. I'm asking you, what are you expecting Metro to give to this effort in addition to the use of this property? and resources, money is what I'm wanting to know.
We're really not asking for anything other than understanding the event and your goodwill. And then we think, given what I've read as far as the mission statement, for your board, that we can add and help you achieve that, and then see how we can really bring value both to the Metro Authority, to the Titans. We're looking to work with the Titans. Can we enhance, given what we're bringing to the town, some of their sponsorship opportunities? We're now they're getting exposure to another entree. Can we do the same thing in working with the Predators?
So you are not looking as part of this negotiating process for Metro to help fund this event?
I wouldn't turn it down, but no, we're not asking for it.
But supposedly, we're entering into an agreement where we're going to negotiate, and I want to make sure your expectations are that Metro is not going to negotiate with funding some of your events.
No, ma'am. I mean, certainly, we're going to look at what other events, whether it be through the CVB partnership
Oh, I know.
and everything along those lines, but the as far as asking for what the MOU does, we think we've been very quiet about this event. We haven't done anything media-wise other than today, which is a public forum. The MOU gives us protection because we're going to be investing lots of money in moving forward, and it gives us protection that at the end of the day, if we can come to an agreement, we're protected. So that's really all we're asking for.
Right. What I'm looking for, however, in a non-binding agreement is that you do not come back to Metro and say you did not negotiate reasonably because you didn't do X, Y, Z. And, that makes me a little nervous. It's early in the process. But if you are saying that that's not your expectation, then that gives me some comfort.
Not at all.
Thank you. That was very helpful. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. And I think I was just informed that I think the microphones are for Metro's video, not necessarily for the room. So if we'll all kind of speak up, that'll be great. And I think Dudley has another question.
Yes. First of all, I thought you made a really nice presentation. Exciting idea. Just want to kind of follow up on what Margaret was asking, just to summarize so we know where we are. I've just read the Memorandum of Understanding, and it's very short, like 2.5 pages. What this is an agreement to negotiate, to attempt to reach an agreement between the authority, the sports authority, the Titans, and the company. Any agreement that you reach is going to come back to us for approval, for final.
Absolutely.
So, how long do you think it will take to negotiate the agreement? How long do you anticipate?
I think we've gone a long way, at least in talking to Rich Riebling and the Titans, and our meetings with Monica. So I think it's probably a 2-month period.
I know these things take on lives of their own. I mean, believe me, I personally know that. I know this. I'm an attorney. But a lot of it just depends on, I assume, your ability. You're talking about trying to secure a minimum of $2,500,000 in commitments, that type of thing. You're kind of going through a due diligence period, I guess.
Actually, we have had conversations. We think that's going to be the easiest part.
Easy? Okay.
So we don't see that as heavy lifting. And once we have documentation, I'm happy to provide it.
Okay. So you would anticipate then, do you anticipate bringing it back to us for final approval of the agreement within the next 6 months?
Well, basically, my first benchmark for the MOU would be to show our financial capacity for the $2.5 million, at which point nobody's obligated to do anything until I can demonstrate that. When we demonstrate that...
Sorry, can you use your mic?
When we demonstrate that we can raise the $2.5 million, either in letters of credit and sponsor commitments, et cetera, that's really the trigger to sit down and start the negotiations. As I say, based on conversations, we think we're very close to having that. So I'm hoping within the next week to 10 days, we can demonstrate that and we can start the process.
Okay.
Yes, Ken.
So I too would like to thank you for that presentation, and my question is a little bit different. So you presented a very, very phenomenal slate of team members, and I guess this is a steering committee of sorts. are there any plans? I'm always struck when there is no representation of women or minorities in an event of this size, given that it's international. Are there any provisions or any intents around that?
Well, we're actually looking at Marianne Howland as being part of our team. And then really our next step is to grow our team to be inclusive as much as we can. You know, we have a board of directors, but we're looking at having an advisory board. You know, it's very, you know, Matt lives here full-time. He understands the community, as does Marianne. But really getting into the heartbeat of the community. I mean, one of the things we've talked about, and this is no commitments yet, but East Nashville, is there something we could do for them given the fact that they get a lot of concerts and noise? Can we do outreaches to other communities? In talking to Kevin Triplett, Commissioner of Tourism, who also happens to be a former PR director for NASCAR, we've talked about creating a multi-city festival where we literally take parts of the event and go to Knoxville, go to Chattanooga, go to et cetera, and then hopefully bring some of the benefits to those markets, but then hopefully bring them back here. But then expanding that circle. So being inclusive in terms of diversity, gender, et cetera, absolutely. And I think, too, that if you're used to watching NASCAR, I mean, there's a stereotype race there. You go to Long Beach. Long Beach is a party. It's Hispanic, it's African American, it's Asian, it's young, it's old. It's a party. Okay, the fact, if you can see a quarter mile, I lost it. If you can see a quarter mile of the racetrack,
Sure.
You're seeing a lot. But they're not there for the race. They're there because the race creates this excitement, and then there's all these people. So we're really looking to be as inclusive as possible. One, it's the right thing to do. Two, it's good business.
Hey, Joe, thank you for that. I just want to acknowledge quickly that Claudia Husky, Senior Advisor to Mayor Megan Barry, is here today. We really appreciate her time. I think she has to leave shortly, and Claudia is over all of the special events for the city of Nashville. And so if there are any questions while Claudia is here, please know she's probably just got a couple more minutes too, and we want to recognize her and thank her very much for being here today. So.
Thank you, Claudia.
Sure. I'll just let y'all know that this has been, you know, a year of discussions and kind of conversations around the track and road usage and that kind of stuff. And so from the mayor's office, as Joe mentioned, you know, working with Rich, we are, you know, certainly in favor of, you know, the MOU. We've, you know, been part of that drafting process, and, you know, it will certainly be, future negotiations will be contingent on that funding resource, as well as, you know, how to work out kind of the parking situation and the timing of the build and all of those things, as well as conversations from our community stakeholders. So thank y'all.
Claudia's tough, I got to tell you. You know, every meeting, I mean, if there was, she found it. And she's making us jump through hoops, and that's, God bless her. I'd rather answer the questions now than later. One thing I would suggest is that to see if somewhere over the next year there's an event as close as possible, so you folks can really feel, taste, and touch what this could be. Your Senate representative. It's very hard. It's like watching hockey on TV. It's not even close. So I think getting you to an event or representative, I think would be very beneficial.
Joe, you touched on Long Beach. Can you tell us about that race and your involvement and experience there?
I haven't been involved in Long Beach, you know, so if I haven't been involved in Long Beach.
We would be modeling something after Long Beach.
But we'd look to do Long Beach on steroids. Okay, Long Beach, when the Grand Prix started there 43 years ago. Sorry. When the Grand Prix started there 43 years ago, Long Beach was a deserted naval town. You wouldn't walk out at night for fear of getting your throat cut. They brought the Grand Prix there, and every mayor since then will tell you that what's happened to Long Beach was an incredible community now, just incredible. They give credit to the Grand Prix of being the catalyst of making that happen. The things that Long Beach has done that we want to copy is that you build this festival concept. It's not a race, it's a festival. It's Bonnaroo, Coachella, racing, lifestyle expos all rolled into it. You know, and being never bashful about stealing a good idea, and why reinvent the wheel when Long Beach has got it right for 43 years. So we're going to take everything we possibly can, you know, from that model, and then find a whole bunch of young people that tell us what the millennials are looking for, and build our bet.
Thank you.
I have a question. Like Ralph, I think it sounds very exciting, and I think it would be extremely cool to have something like this in Nashville. Where have you done this before, and which cities have been successful, which cities haven't been successful with this concept, and why?
Okay. My personal experience as far as a street race has been limited to the DC Grand Prix, okay, where I did the event management. I was not the promoter. Basically, a friend of mine put the deal together, and 2 months out, he said, help, and I came in and I wrote a 2,000-page event manual, and we worked with the staff of the RFK Stadium, and the event really went off without a hitch. And that's really where I got my credibility with IMSA, with IndyCar, you know, that I've done these. Running, you know, a 2.5-mile track in Pennsylvania where it's fixed, not quite the challenges, they're different challenges, but at the same time at Pocono, we were sitting 100 miles from New York or Philadelphia. So basically we had to create our whole infrastructure, whether it be medical, fire, traffic control, from scratch. And we've done that successfully since 1971. The events that I'll point to that have been very successful, Long Beach being one, Toronto being a second, St. Petersburg, and Belle Isle would be the 4 that I would point to as being very successful. Long Beach has got a separate promoter, and it's actually, I believe, partly nonprofit that benefits the community. St. Pete in Toronto is promoted by an entity called Savory Green. We've talked to them about this event, and we're going to look at all the resources and all the experiences out there and see what we can bring to the table.
And so have you gone to a city where it didn't work out?
Oh, there's been cities where it hasn't worked out. There was a disaster up in Boston. Boston did not get the permits they needed, started selling tickets, and the promoter decided he was going to run off with the money.
Oh, that's a problem.
So, yeah, and that happened actually right when we began talking to the city. So certainly that set up red flags. So having benchmarks as far as financial due diligence, you know, that we can perform and do what we say we're going to do. You know, we want to make sure that the city, the authority, and the Titans are very comfortable that there are no surprises.
Great, thank you.
Great, all right.
Well, I have one, but I'll ask it anyway. As this is exciting. I mean, the city, the event itself, the inclusion of the mayor already and our staff. But when you finish, will there still be a sort of a footprint of your organization left in the city? You know, like some of the changes that you're going to make. Do you take them all out and then we go back to being business as usual? Or since it's going to be 5 years, will we be looking at other things that'll just keep it in the minds?
No, we want to Bob Flynn's specifications, put it back the way it needs to be. But in some cases, you know, we're going to discuss, and we already have, if we're going to take up a median, okay, do we replace that with a median, or do we put a flower garden in? Okay, so this way we, you know, put dirt on top of the asphalt, beautify. We want to leave it better than we found it.
That's what I wanted you to hear. What I wanted to hear anyway, that it'll be better. My other question is, okay, you spoke about a lot of events. How can we include the community more? You mentioned East Nashville. Those kind of areas where a lot of people don't get a chance to go out and enjoy some of the events that we sponsor because of cost. How can you include more people?
Well, part of
Yeah, let me jump in. So again,
this ain't no water work.
well, and we're growing that, but our earn ticket program is something that it serves both of those things. You know, if I can generate community service hours for our charity partners, centers and provide a way for someone to earn a ticket, I think our city wins all the way around. So that's one of many initiatives like that we'll be rolling out, but that's important. Because again, as Joe said, it's important to expose people to this sport. And the first time they see it, we can have a customer for life. I think the Predators did a phenomenal job with that over the last 15 years of selling hockey to non-hockey people by putting on a great event where hockey is kind of the background initially. Now we all know the rules, which is crazy. We hope to do the same thing with motorsports here in Nashville.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
We appreciate you,
Thank you so
hanging
much.
with us. Yes, please join us.
One thing,
Absolutely.
I know this isn't my forum, but the one thing that I haven't heard mentioned here, I'm Kix Brooks, by the way. When I was leadership with the CMA president and then chairman of the board, we decided to take fanfare to Titan Stadium. I mean, we have had an event that was on one scale. We took a big gamble to see on a long-term project if we could use this great facility that we have here and turn it into the biggest festival in the world was our dream. So we did it, and we lost money the first year, a little bit the second year. Since then, we've given over $17 million to inner-city schools and schools in Nashville and music and education and those kind of things that we wanted to do. The only reason I'm not ringing my own bell here, what I'm saying is we've already worked with Titans. We've done something that was a multifaceted event for this city, as you know. We have free concert downtown on the river that anybody can go and see music all day long for. All the businesses across the river have prospered because of this, because of a multifaceted event. It's not just a car race, I know that Joe's talking about, just like it wasn't just confining this to Titan Stadium over here. So a multi-day, multifaceted event that we've done actually on this property. So forgive me for standing up, but that seems to be the one thing that we miss. We actually have a multifaceted, multi-day event here that's kind of based on a similar footprint with a different sport, but it's really exciting to me that, again, we're kind of moving a great racing tradition that's always been downtown at the fairgrounds, and we're sort of blowing this thing up to go with the international multi-day faceted event. So I think the potential is here, and we've already done a lot of things that I think relate to what they're talking about. So forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. It's very nice to see you. We appreciate you coming, and there's a lot of great discussion. I believe if there's... Yes. Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second for the resolution. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor to approve the resolution say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is approved. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Next up on our agenda, we have we're pleased to have with us today representatives from Sirius XM Radio. Please be safe getting out of here.
I think I'll stay.
I know, you're welcome to stay. I think Monica's going to start us off on this item. Monica?
Yes, well, I mentioned this in my executive director report, but we have Tom Comiskey and his team here from Sirius XM Radio, and I know you all have been serving on this board for various years, and some of you have seen us renew this contract before, and maybe even a couple of times. But what I think you may not be familiar with is just the day-to-day operations, how the space is used, the number of people and artists and visitors that come through. And so I've asked them to share a little bit. I think it's always good to have context, especially as we look to move on an extension.
Thanks, Monica. Madam Secretary of the Board, thanks for having us.
Please speak up.
Usually I'm very loud.
Tom, will you introduce yourself too, just for the record?
Tom Comiskey, Sirius XM.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk briefly about what we do in the tower, quietly over the last 8 years. I brought Tom Koch along, our Director of Real Estate, and he can talk to the day-to-day things. He's louder than I am.
Thank you, Tom. Within Sirius, we're affectionately known as the Toms. So, want to thank you all for the opportunity to, let me just say, I'm going to read from notes because in addition to losing my hair, I'm losing my memory. In the lobby of the Visitor Center, there's a black curtain that I don't know if you guys have seen. Thank you for the opportunity to pull back that curtain and give you a view into what's going on in Sirius XM. The curtain will stay closed because just about every country star has come through our studio, and the security aspects of that are very, very important to us, which in fact may be why we're a secret. When Sir Paul McCarthy came to visit us in New York, you would have thought it was the 60s. His limo was going down the street and people were chasing him. They were just 40 years older than they were. The facility itself, it's very interesting. I'm told that the cone is a spotlight as a tribute to the Ryman Theater, the light from heaven on country music. Let's not forget what Nashville is known the world over for, country music. You're doing a wonderful job in diversifying the entertainment profile and for the city of Nashville and its citizens, but country music is what the world thinks of when they think of Nashville. And Sirius XM is an important part of that country music scene. A little known fact is our the happy hour that we're a part of draws about 1,000 people a week. So if you take 15,000 people per hockey game times 40 hockey games, that's 600,000 people brought into the city. We're bringing in that same amount through the course of an entire year, not just in the winter months. Forgive me. We have been a partnership for 10 years. This is the Third Amendment. In 2007, XM and Sirius married, and Sirius's studios were closed down to come to this facility. We invested about $800,000 back at the start of this lease. We subsequently put in about $1.1 million with the music, how do you say, Music City Theater. We quite honestly have in 2017 $1.5 million to invest in this facility. The lease that you have in front of you has an option for y'all to terminate our lease with 1 year's notice. We are committed to doing that work, but it didn't get approved in 2017, and quite honestly, until this gets approved. And we're looking to do that kind of work in 2018. But you can appreciate, the investment in that kind of money, how sensitive getting this document done is to us. Hopefully, you all do know Sirius XM because maybe some of them have you in your car. But this location is the headquarters for production of country music for Sirius XM radio. We don't do as good a job of understanding our listenership as one may think we're able to do. That'll change with the next generation chipset. But we've got some data from GM who does a very good job. And our country stations are the most widely listened to stations in Sirius XM's hundreds of stations that we offer. Production is here out of Nashville. We employ 44 people, and that has doubled since our last renewal in 5 years. Sirius XM hope and intent is to continue to grow our facilities here in Nashville. And having a partner with the Sports Authority and the city is very important to us realizing the ability to do that. Let me just throw some more hard cold facts at you. SiriusXM is expecting to do $5.3 billion in revenue. Means we'll pay our rent. We pay the rent on time. And in fact, I'm the one who pays the rent. We have 31.6 million listeners. We run 80 events, I guess is the way to describe it, out of the music theater. 80 events on average a year. I think we peaked at somewhere around 120. So far, to year to date, we've done like 60. We are bringing people into the downtown. We are bringing stars that are here and bringing them into downtown. The Ryman Theater was and is a tremendous facility, but it was at one time the heart of radio. SiriusXM is the future of radio, and we are right here in Nashville. We are here in your facility, and we want to stay here much, much longer. So we highly encourage you guys to please renew our lease. Anything to add? Oh, we forgot to introduce Jay Bertner. He's our chief engineer. And
the curtain behind the curtain.
If I give you guys, I could pass around a picture of what the place looks like, but if you guys want to come and visit, we'd love to have you come through, and we'll try. Chase Atkins is there every day. We'll talk him into coming around for pictures or something.
Stormy just finished the show. He was going to come, but he just finished the show.
I'm seeing a smile, and that's a beautiful thing. That's what we want.
I have a question. How many employees do you have?
44. But you got that includes on-air talent, so they'll come in, do a couple hours, and they're gone.
So how many staff are?
I'd say there's probably around a dozen people that sit there around the clock.
About 50 people going in and out.
And there are studios there where they are producing these shows live every day.
So, John, how many studios are there?
Looks out over says, hey, there's a party on the roof of Tootsie's. And he's talking to 32 million people.
Yeah, in the studios there in the tower, there's the visitor center is down on the ground floor, right? So the second floor is where we have a theater. We have 8 broadcast studios there, which are on-air studios that can broadcast different programs or use it for on-air production. And in addition to those 8 studios, there's an office area where our programming management, where he's talking about the country music management work out of for all the country channels that we have. The theater part is a huge asset to us in this because we do a lot of live artist performance where people can come in and be feet away, from these stars, from the country music superstars. So eight studios in that facility, and office space and things like that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful. We appreciate it. Yes.
So the 31 million listeners, is that on country music radio? Is that subscribers?
That's 31.6 million subscribers is our guidance to the stockholders.
Okay.
Just interested. 31 million households.
Okay. I move approval.
A second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. We appreciate our partnership.
Spend it wisely, pal. Thank you all so much.
And we would love to come see the space sometime. I know Monica, that would be great.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Doing such a good job about not having the same. You are awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. We are very pleased to also have with us Bill Emmendorfer. He's the Executive Director of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, who is also a tenant of Bridgestone Arena with us today. And Bill is going to talk to us about an update on the Sports Hall of Fame and also the most recent induction ceremony for the class of 2017. As many of you know, our very own Chuck Merriweather was inducted this year, and special congrats to Chuck, and thank you so much.
First, it's an honor to be here today, and the first thing I need to do is thank the Sports Authority, because we've been a tenant for going on 2 decades, and what happens is you all are the largest supporter of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame because of the generosity of the lease. The Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame functions with no funds from the state of Tennessee. And the most generous supporter has been the city of Nashville and the Sports Authority. So I want to thank you all for your support. If you look at the mission of the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame enshrines, honors athletes, teams, coaches, sports writers, sports administrators who have made an impact on the history of sports in Tennessee. We believe the lessons learned through sports can be carried throughout one's life to enable them not only to accomplish their goals, but to excel in them. What you may not be aware of, and sometimes I say the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame is the best kept secret in the state of Tennessee, because you kind of got to know where it is to get there. You got to go past XM radio, and you got to go past the CVB, and you've got to go past the will call, and then you kind of get to where we are. But it's a great facility, and it celebrates the history and the culture of sports in the state of Tennessee and what we're all about. And one of the things we have done, and Takira can go through these slides and you can look at them, but I'm not going to follow those exactly. One of the things we've done is we've used the platform of sports to share these values to folks across the state, and particularly in Middle Tennessee. The state of Tennessee is about as diverse in sports and sports heritage as it is long. If you go from the Tri-Cities and Bristol Motor Speedway to the banks of the Mississippi, and there's a lot of differences in what we do in this state, and we have tried to honor every type of athlete, every type of person, and every type of institution that you can, from the large institutions to the small institutions, to the professional athletes and professional teams, to the small colleges like King and Bethel and places like that. But one of the things we did a couple years ago, I was president of the board, and our board is appointed by the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the speaker. Now that's interesting, because after they gave us the money to start the Hall of Fame, they haven't given us any more money to do anything. And in fact, they said, look, you guys have about 2 years. So one of the things I'm going to ask you all is, as private citizens, not as a board or not as a government agency, but to find ways to financially support the Hall of Fame, because we need help in that area. Because we have to generate our own funds. But in order to generate our own funds, we have to give something to the community. And the thing that we've done is we've created our Champion Within program. And our Champion Within program gives back to the community. Our Champion Within program honors athletes and individuals who have excelled in other ways. But we also have an outreach program that deals with at-risk children. We deal with leadership. We deal with healthy lifestyles. We've partnered with the Predators. We've partnered with the Titans. Both of them have been worthy partners and have been great partners in things like doing Halloween events for at-risk kids, to have a healthy lifestyle program, to provide field trips and days out for after-school care programs. We work with the Special Olympics. We work with Backfield in Motion. We've worked with these entities throughout the community, because if we just, like one of my board members and one of my former teammates at the University of Tennessee said, if we just honor old fat linemen, we really haven't done what we need to do. And so one of the things we're doing is more. We started a scholarship program a few years ago, and the scholarship program was actually started in honor of a guy named Jeff Bird. Jeff was the CEO of Bristol Motor Speedway. And just the greatest example was about 4 years ago, I had a lady call me, and she called me like every week to find out when we were going to make the decision on the scholarship. Her husband was in prison. Her son played baseball at Lee University in Cleveland, Tennessee. And that small scholarship, our scholarship is for college juniors and seniors, made a difference in him being able to complete his senior year in college without any more hardships than he had. That's the kind of things we do that makes us more than a Hall of Fame and a museum. The Champion Within program, we also find a way to honor different athletes. This year we honored a gentleman named Mario Reed. Mario Reed is a quadriplegic. But he's made some improvements in his upper body with some surgeries they did and some special treatment they did in St. Louis. At the age of 15, he was an aspiring football player and was paralyzed in a football accident. He grew up in the same neighborhood as Michael Orr in Memphis. Rough, tough neighborhood. He's dedicated his life to teaching other people that there's just no excuses, just find a way to do things, and he's an inspiration. This year we also recognized Tim Shaw from the Titans. And the neatest thing about Tim is Tim has probably the most horrible disease you can have. But he doesn't let it bother him. He doesn't let it get him down, and he gives back. And the one thing that he said in the tape, he could not be there this weekend because he was doing a football clinic at his high school that he does every year. So we did a video, and basically what Tim said was to be the best you can be. And that's the message we wanted to deliver to other people, to young people. Last year, we recognized Inky Johnson, who was our keynote speaker at our Champion Within luncheon, and Inky did a wonderful job. And then we also honored Sean Carl, who is a Nashvilleian who was a cancer victim, subsequently died of cancer, but was an inspiration to his tennis team at the University of Tennessee. These young men and women, they exemplify what athletics should be and what athletics should do in the community and what's not getting put out there. And that's what we're trying to do at the Hall of Fame. The greatest one was a guy named Joshua Putnam, and Joshua is a Downs child. And one of the first Champion Within lunches we had, he gave this really great talk, and he finished, and he looked at his mother and he said, "I am a champion." And if you've never worked with the Special Olympics, it's a special thrill. I try to do it every year. And those young people take that so seriously, but he said, "I am a champion," and that exemplifies the Champion Within program. Last year, Peyton Manning was our Tennessean of the Year, and it was fitting to honor Peyton. This year, no offense, Chuck, but the most eloquent speaker at the banquet was Roy Kramer. Roy Kramer, who has real roots at Vanderbilt University and here in Nashville, was the commissioner of the SEC, but he summarized what it means and what the Hall of Fame is all about, but what sports is all about. And he made the effort to make a tribute to every inductee that was inducted this year. And this year, the inductees, it was a who's who. Now, we've had 51, this was the 51st year, but I want you to understand some of the folks that we had this year. We had Chantel Anderson, and if you hadn't seen Chantel, she's about 6'7", and she's an attractive 6'7", and with heels, she's about 6'11". And when she came to get the award, she's about this tall, and but arguably the greatest women athlete from Vanderbilt University. Chad Clifton, the great offensive tackle from the Green Bay Packers. Haskell Stanback, one of my teammates, and Candy Reynolds, a tennis player from UT Chattanooga who was ranked in the number 2 in the world in doubles in tennis on the tennis tour. Now here's where it got real interesting. We had enough track people. We had Willie Galt, we had Justin Gatlin, and we had Christian Coleman, all three honored. We could have had a relay team that could have won the Olympics with those guys, and Gatlin at age 50 runs a 10.8800. And so you had arguably the guy that's had 4 of the top 600s in the world this year. You had the collegian who had just won the 100 and 200 meters, and then you had an old man who runs a 10.88. We honored Al Wilson, the heart of Tennessee's national championship team. We honored Ashley McElhaney Ayers, who was the guard who made Chantel great. We honored a guy named Wild Bill Wright. You say, who is Wild Bill Wright? Wild Bill Wright was from Milan. He was the Joe DiMaggio of the Negro League. He played in the Negro League, and he played in Mexico because he couldn't play in the major leagues. and may have been the greatest baseball player of his time. So, you know, one of the questions you asked about diversity when you asked the Grand Prix, we don't worry about diversity because we honor the big, the small, those that nobody hears about. We try to do it all. We also honored the Rhodes women's golf team, and here's one. Our female athlete of the year was Haley Agrello. Haley was an Olympic women's wrestler. Now you talk about a pioneer, and we honored King University, who was the National Women's Wrestling Championship team. So we try to find different ways to do things. And last but not least, we honored Chuck Merriweather, and what a fitting tribute to what a great person. A guy that was a pioneer in Major League Baseball. And right here, that's not the best picture. We got a picture of him when he's just wearing out a manager. He said, no, I was getting wore out. I said, yeah, but you got the last word. But this would not be possible. The Hall of Fame would not be possible without the relationship we have with the city of Nashville. I want to recognize Margaret because several years ago when we had the women's basketball Final Four, Margaret and I worked together to create one of the newest and largest venues at the Hall of Fame, and that's a tribute to Pat Summitt. And it was a smashing success, and you know, we had our moments, but we worked together very well, and it was a great partnership, and Margaret and her committee was very generous, and we found funds, and they found funds, and we created something great. The next big exhibit will be completed this year, and it's a tribute to motorsports, which I guess is fitting given the Grand Prix deal. And what will be the feature of that is a car that Mike Curb is so generously putting in the exhibit, which will be an Indy car. And so we will have an Indy car, and it will be, at the generosity of Mike Curb, it'll be an addition to what we do honor in motorsports, because we honor both NASCAR and now, as you know, not this year, but last year, Mike's car won the Indianapolis 500. And so that's what we're doing. So again, it would not be possible without you all. But now as private citizens, I need you to get out and help us because we desperately have got to do some things. You know, we've got a board that's appointed by the state, but the state doesn't. It's kind of like one of my good friends, his representative, said they need to learn to pay to play, but he couldn't get the job done for getting them to learn to pay. So you all pay, and y'all don't even get anything out of it except a great facility and a great part of the city. And right now, Nashville's kind of the epicenter of the universe. I mean, what happened in hockey, what happened in entertainment, and this is a facility that we don't need to lose in the heart of Nashville. Do y'all have any questions?
Bill, thank you. I'm motivated to go hit something. I feel like I've been a football coach.
Well, you know, you should have. You know, we honored tennis, and that's your deal, so you should have been there.
Should have been there. I'm sorry I was out of town, but I'm very, very excited to have you today. I know we all are, and there's so much programming and the scholarship piece. If you would include us, maybe Monica can give you the board's full contact information and start including us and anything that we can do to help. I'm sure my colleagues would say we are really proud of what you guys do and definitely want to be supportive.
Well, we are about to aggressively form committees to get more engagement in different things, whether it be membership, whether it be sponsorship. And sponsorships don't have to be big; they can be big or small. But memberships, sponsorships, to get our honorees and inductees more engaged. You know, the weekend events are really neat. I mean, really. I mean, Chuck, you can speak for it. You were there. It's you know, when you talk about a state Hall of Fame or a local Hall of Fame, people don't understand the magnitude of the event that Lynn Toy, who works for me, puts on. And then, you know, we've got an intern program too, and this is one of our interns.
Would you
and come on up here.
Yes.
I've got 7 interns this summer, and she did.
Please introduce yourself. Let us know.
I'm Sakara Wright.
I apologize. I should have introduced
And
you.
what school are you with?
I'm currently in Middle Tennessee. I graduate in August.
Awesome.
We've got students from Middle Tennessee, Belmont.
Very nice to meet you.
Vanderbilt. I've got 2 Vanderbilt football players. I've got UT Knoxville, 2 from UT Chattanooga, And these interns, these kids are wonderful. They're so much better than I am. She did the presentation, and she had to hook it up for me, too, because I couldn't have done either. But we have put this intern program together. Since I've taken this over, we hosted the International Sports Heritage Convention several years ago, brought in people from Sports Hall of Fames and museums around the world. We are totally engaged in trying to do things, but between the scholarship, the Champion Within program, and the intern program, those are things that we're really reaching out to make a difference. And we've had several of our interns stay in Tennessee, work here. One of my interns from 2 summers ago is one of the curators at the Country Music Hall of Fame now.
Great.
And so it's just a neat thing, and we are more than a museum.
Good.
And we can honor old umpires, but we're going to be cautious about honoring old fat linemen. So anyway, thank you for your
Bill,
time.
I think Margaret has...
Yes, Margaret.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that your passion and love for the Hall of Fame really comes through in this presentation. You've just done so much. One thing you've done is keep this up long enough so I could actually read Chuck's long bio of accomplishments, which are so impressive, Chuck. But I also want to tell you, I was impressed with your materials and the number of women who are included in your materials just throughout, because often when you see sports presented, that's not the way it is. So I want to commend you on that.
Well, thank you. One of the challenges, let me tell you an interesting challenge when I took over, was a lot of the smaller schools and a lot of the schools in the west part of the state really felt disenfranchised. And we reached out because it's easy to go to the pro teams, and it's easy to go to UT Knoxville and find athletes. And we had a lot of guys from Knoxville this year just because they happen to be the tops in their deal. But the reality is we've reached out each year with our scholarships, with our other things, with honoring athletes from all sports. And one of the things I told when we honored the wrestling team as being pioneers is, I said, this is no different than kind of where women's basketball was 50 years ago. And to have somebody that was an Olympian in a sport that nobody even knows about is pretty impressive. So thank you. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could.
Yes.
Bill, I'd just like to thank you. That was quite an honor when you called me and told me you were inducting me. It's hard to make me speechless, but I didn't know what to say, and I will be willing to work with you and help you in any way I can. And it was quite an honor and very humbling, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. You made the weekend special. Thank you.
It's a great weekend. Thank you.
I want to say too, we have a cake for Chuck. So please, and I know he doesn't want to take all of this cake home. So please stay and congratulations. It's an honor to serve you.
At this time, we have an agenda item regarding the downtown partnership. Monica?
Okay, well, Russell Payne, who you all have gotten to know over many years, is here with us this morning. He is the Vice President of Operations for the partnership.
Thank you.
And he's going to also provide an operations report. Again, I feel like we're playing a little bit of catch up, but there's some groups, some organizations, some agencies that are very important to what we do that I think it's just been a while since you've heard from. So Russell's going to bring us up to speed on the daily operations of the partnership, and then following his report, the board is going to be asked to consider an amended and restated agreement between us and the partnership, and we'll talk about that more.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you, Monica, and thank you for having me this morning. I believe we're still in the morning time. Just give you an update on what our shuttle program is, and she said I'm Russell Payne, Vice President of Operations for the Nashville Downtown Partnership. One of the programs I do manage is the shuttle program. So what I came here today was just to give you an overview of kind of the two distinct divisions, as it were, of the shuttles, what they do, some historical data, and where we're going and what we can expect in the future. So this is our core route. This is what we call the daytime shuttle program. It offers free parking at Nissan Stadium. In essence, it allows people to come. They can do one of two things. They can buy a shuttle pass, at Lot A for $30 currently, or they can walk from Lot E, and I think I'll restate that. But at the end of the day, this began in 2002, and I'm going to give you some historical data. And as you can see, we've been doing this for 15 years, so it's been going very well. I'm going to show you a little bit of the growth. Right now, we're at 20 shuttles. I know we're over this 2,000 mark right now because growth has been just continuing to go with all the developments and new employers coming in downtown. So we're right about 2,200 at this point in time. As I mentioned, it does weekday parking from Nissan Stadium. We do have parking that comes from Lot E. They can have walking access from there. And obviously, this activates a valuable community asset and is a huge tool in economic development, supporting commercial activity and viability. And then at the end of the day, we deliver the management, the maintenance, and security on that one program. This is what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about. Key economic indicators, some of the growth, and we do residential reports and business census surveys, and in all of these, parking is always in the top 3 or 5. You know, parking, parking, parking. A lot of people have a vehicle, not everybody, but it's always a concern, question, and where is it, and how much does it cost? We just kind of tracked what our shuttle pass sales were, the number of residents, number of employees. I took, kind of went back historical, 2006, 2012. Our last census, business census, was in 15, but we do track the growth, so I put it up to 2017. As you can see, here are the two numbers that I think are very important, because our residents, as you see, are growing. Most of them are moving into units that have parking available to them, but there is some bleed off and some need for visitors coming down to events if they don't have that. But the shuttle pass sales, you can see, went from 584 in 2006 to almost 1,200 in 2012, and right at 2,200 in 2017. So very substantial growth, and it really is growing with the number of downtown employees. You can see went from 46 to 50 to 64, so it's a growth of 3,000 and a growth of 13. So for every employee that comes into the downtown area, there's going to be some portion of a vehicle that comes down. So that means, where do we these people? How do we get them parked? What assets do we use? And this is a wonderful option for people. It is low cost. It is quick and efficient service. And 15 years of continued growth, I think, goes to show that point. What are we looking for in 2017, and why we are here? This is just a shot from inside one of the daytime shuttles taking people to work. What we can expect is some additional new routes. So we're going to have one new route that comes on to service a new building that needs parking, and then we are having a replacement route. So that's our Union Street route. It's in the amendments in the exhibit. New tenant is moving in. They had a lot of employees. They needed parking. So that route is being anew. It will also serve other areas other than just that one building. So TPAC people could jump on, Bank of America people could jump on, but it is going to go to the 222 building, 511 Union. And with that, we're going to be utilizing about 400 additional spaces. And we're going to start activating some of those in August, September range. Now, there are more possibilities of higher usage in 2017, but I'll come back and report if we get those on the line and tell you, at least at the end of the year, exactly how 2017 went for us. And then our fleet is increasing. As you saw earlier, it is 20 shuttles right now. We're increasing it to 26 shuttles, so fairly substantial fleet to move folks around. Now, that fleet doesn't stand flat-footed during the evenings, because we have this beep, which is our best ever event parking, free parking at Bridgestone for Bridgestone Arena events. Typically runs out of Lot R. We have to move back and forth depending on the events that are there. You can see a couple of the highlight of the historical numbers. You can see 16, that was a great year for us. That was the best year since inception. It did begin in 2010. We had 120 events, so not only are those shuttles running Monday through Friday, but they are doing 120 additional nights of work for the downtown area throughout the year. We track the number of cars, walkers, and shuttle riders. riders than total number of people that can come to use it, because you can use the bridge to walk across. Had a fantastic year, 13,000 cars, 16,000 walkers, or about 16,500, almost had 13,500 riders and 29,000 people. This is where this tells the tale to me as to whether or not people like or use this program, and those are big numbers. 729 events, almost 80,000 cars, almost 70,000 walkers have used that bridge, and shuttle riders almost 90,000, and almost 160,000 total people have used this program since inception, that is walkers and people that choose to ride it. I just wanted to give you also a little look at 2015 versus 16. Everything was up across the board. Events up 17%, cars were up 64%, riders 40%, total people, which is the walkers and the riders, up about 68% approximately. So that is highly utilized on a regular basis. And I'm going to wrap up here. I was just trying to give you some high-level points. The main focus of BEEP is to get people to and from Bridgestone Arena events. We do also shuttle back and forth Bridgestone Arena vendors and employees, so we don't just start 3 hours before an event. We will start it in the morning at 7:30. Bridgestone Arena will call us and say, we need people coming in at 7:30, at 11:30, 12, so they set the time frame for us. We start running to pick their employees, their concessionaires up, and it really takes a big burden off of them as to where do those people park and what is the cost. Bridgestone Arena vendors, employees, the SEC basketball tournaments, the NCAA Women's Final Four. We ran a lot for the NHL All-Star, and this is the final one I wanted to leave you with, which was the Stanley Cup viewing party. You can see the mass of people, and there's the shuttles lined up. There were 4 more around this corner that did not make it into the picture, but you know, we had 7 shuttles out there picking people up, dropping them off, making it very easy for them to get in and out of downtown. We had about 500 or so people, 500 or so vehicles that were not in the streets of downtown and that were saving people money so they could go downtown and buy a shirt, buy some food, that type of thing. So highly utilized, well received, and at this point in time I will leave it open for questions and seek approval.
Thank you, Russell. We appreciate your presentation. Are there any questions for Russell? Okay, great. Thank you.
So you are 501c what? 3 organization. So do you get revenue from these parking like during the day?
No, well, 2 things. The core route doesn't make money. It is supported through another revenue stream, which is our parking facilities that Metro has a contract with us for. So it does not make money. The other ones are run at cost for private entities. So we say, here is a portion of a management cost, which offsets the cost burden to Metro, and we charge them actual costs on those things.
So because of those 2 contracts you have, and the fact that the Sports Authority allows you to use these lots, you give to the city the free parking in the evening? Is that kind of how that works?
It's free parking during the daytime.
During the day?
For the evening for Bridgestone Arena events.
Okay. I was just trying to get the financial model and how you are, because you're not Metro, how you are able to use the lots and give free shuttles.
That's it. We leverage the evening shuttles from the daytime stuff that we get with other clients. So that's part of our deal with them, is that we're allowed to use those shuttles in the evening to help the city.
Okay. So you're going to tell what they're asking for now? Just so I understand what that is about. Okay.
So basically, in 2014, the board approved approved an amendment to the original contract, and then another amendment was approved in 2015. And so what we're doing now is seeking to incorporate the terms of those 2 amendments that Margaret has worked on pretty extensively. And then what it also does, in addition to incorporating the terms of the earlier amendments that were approved, it provides the partnership with the opportunity or use of lots T and lot R1, which is on the north side of the bridge closest to South First Street. So basically, the mayor's office, of course, is, very involved in economic development, corporate relocations, and so they approached us and said, we really, are trying to work with a company. They're trying to relocate, and parking, of course, is just a challenge. Is there any way that you can help us, and we would love to give them the opportunity to park there. And so it's been a process, and we've had multiple meetings with Matt Wilshire, the head of the mayor's ECD office, and with Russell and Tom and Parks, since they also use Lot R, and just trying to make sure that we're keeping our commitments, right, that we've made to the other entities and agencies that are using the lots. And so we've been able to work this out. It is about 400 spaces between Lot T and Lot R1 that they will start to use the beginning of August. And that's really I think the main change to it.
How do they use it?
How do they? They will
I have
shuttle.
two questions. What are we doing with that right now? And then, second of all, how are they going to use it?
Right now, Lots T is being used for amphitheater employees and usually as an overflow for any other parking. And then Lot R is, if you come down here any day of the week, you'll see that there are always cars in Lot R. And so we're going to continue to work very closely with our parking contractors. They've also been, I talk to them regularly as we try to make sure that we, are advised in how we need to do this, because there are so many parts. But we will work with them. The amphitheater will park in the south side of Lot R along with Metro Parks. Metro Parks is very comfortable with this arrangement.
So are our parking contractors right now been dealing with parking in R1 and Lot T, and now this goes to the downtown partnership, or nobody's been dealing with this, kind of like what?
So Stewart has overseen all of the Sports Authority lots, right, and they will continue to do that. The ECD portion, that's really going to be a weekday, Monday through Friday thing. The majority of our events take place on the weekends and after business hours. So Stewart will still be, managing all of those events in both Lot T and Lot R.
So the downtown partnership wants this property for the daytime.
For the
Is that right?
daytime,
To
yes.
continue to give free shuttle service, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well.
So, shuttle service
Right,
like they did in Lot R. That's what.
Right. That's for Beep. Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
All right. I think I do too. It sounds great.
5-year lease, but either party can terminate it with or without cause anytime on 90 days' notice. So it's not like it's set in stone forever if this doesn't work or there's some serious objections to it.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Yes, we need a motion.
So I move that we accept the amended and restated agreement.
Motion and second. All in favor of approving, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion carries and is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for your
again,
time.
Russell.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, everyone, for coming today. I just want to point out a couple of things, if I can. The Nashville Sounds are playing baseball. Don't forget. If you haven't been to a game or several, be sure and do so. It's fantastic, a lot of fun, especially for all of your friends and family. So just don't forget about our friends, the Nashville Sounds. Also, the stadium, Nissan Stadium, looks fantastic. We really can tell the hard work of the team there, Bob and his team. And July is just around the corner. It's next month, and we're hosting 2 professional soccer tournaments, soccer matches. And if you haven't gotten tickets to those, we encourage you to do so. It's a great gift. This is another opportunity for us to showcase Nashville, and I know that we will. And I believe we're all still reeling and reflecting on the Pred season. I know we have had a fantastic run, and we look forward to celebrating that season, and hopefully we'll be able to do so soon. I did receive a Tennessean alert that maybe there's, we're going to do that perhaps next week. I don't know if that's something we can talk about, but we'll, I guess, get an invitation and encourage everyone to be there for that as well. It's been a great meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is July 20th. If there's a chance that try to, if possible, if we can skip a meeting in the summer, we'll do so. We'll have to wait and see how the various business of the Sports Authority office is, but we will, if there's an opportunity to cancel that meeting, given family schedules and vacations, we will do our best to try and accommodate that. And if there's no other
Can I say one
business,
thing
yes,
real quick?
please.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart and from Nashville, Bridgestone Arena, y'all killed it. Y'all were awesome. Nashville was so good. And for y'all to turn that stadium, I mean the arena around, and you walk in there and it was so exciting and the gold was everywhere, and I could not have been prouder to be a Predators fan, a Nashvilleian, for what y'all did for our city. Thank you, thank you. And I'm ready for next year.
Well said. If there's no other comments, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Yes, and don't forget cake. Thank you, guys.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.